You're standing in a parking lot on a Tuesday night. You just spent 10 minutes fighting with a silk tie in the rearview mirror, and now you're walking toward an ordinary looking building. You open the heavy wooden doors and bam, it's a sea of dark suits, black, charcoal, maybe a midnight navy if someone is feeling a bit adventurous. It isn't a funeral. It isn't a wedding. It's a Masonic lodge meeting. In an era where business casual means wearing your good hoodie to the office, the sight of 50 men in formal attire feels like a glitch in the matrix. Why do we still do this? Why are Masons so obsessed with the dark suit, white shirt, and dark tie combo? It feels archaic. It feels stiff. But here's a secret. That suit is actually a piece of technology. Most guys think of regalia as just the apron or the jewels, but the suit is the foundation. It's the uniform that signals you've left the chaotic noise of the world behind. When you pull on those trousers and button that jacket, your brain shifts gears. You aren't Dave from accounting or Mike the contractor anymore. You're a brother among brothers. The suit acts as a great equalizer. It bridges the gap between men of vastly different backgrounds. In this episode, I'd like to talk about the Masonic uniform. We're tracing the lineage of this look from the grit of the 1700s stone yards to the refined aristocratic halls of the 1800s. We'll explore why the apron, originally a stinking heavy piece of leather used to keep stone dust off a mason's breeches, became a badge of innocence and a bond of friendship. We're going to talk about why the suit is the most masculine thing you can own and how it removes the ego of the brand so we can focus on the work. So, grab a coffee, fix your tie, and let's get into the practical and symbolic function of the Masonic attire. To understand the suit, you have to understand the apron. And to understand the apron, you have to smell the sawdust and hear the ring of the chisel. Long before it was made of fine white lambskin, the Masonic apron was a beast of a thing. We're talking about heavy, rough-cut leather, usually animal hide that reached from a man's chest down to his shins. It wasn't a badge of honor back then. It was protective gear. These operative masons weren't philosophizing about geometry. They were hauling limestone in the rain. That apron was the only thing standing between a man's clothes and a jagged shard of stone or a splash of wet mortar. It was purely functional. It was dirty, but it was essential. As the hammers fell silent and the speculative era began to rise, the apron started to shrink. It moved from the stone yard to the tavern. As Freemasonry transformed into a system of morality veiled in allegory, the gear transformed with it. We stopped needing protection from physical debris and started needing protection from moral debris. The heavy hide of the work beast was replaced by the pure white lambskin. Suddenly, it wasn't about keeping your pants clean. It was about keeping your character spotless. The apron became an emblem of pristine beginnings and a constant reminder to build your life on a moral foundation. We kept the shape of the workwear, but we changed the soul of the material. As the 1700s bled into the 1800s, the look changed because the who changed. We weren't just stonecutters anymore. Lords, dukes, and the emerging merchant class started knocking on the lodge doors. They didn't want to look like they'd just crawled out of a quarry. They wanted to look like gentlemen. This is where the modern Mason started to take shape. The elite of the era, the aristocracy, brought their fashion sense into the lodge room. They traded the long functional hide for shorter decorated aprons. They started wearing their best Sunday dress to meetings. This transition wasn't about vanity, it was about respect. If you were meeting to discuss the great architect of the universe, you didn't do it in your yard work rags. Here in Ontario, we've inherited this tradition of high standards. When you look at the formal requirement of white tie, and tails for certain grand lodge functions, you're looking at a direct line back to that aristocratic influence. It's a carryover from a time when a man's clothing signaled his commitment to the occasion. But here's the thing. While it started with the rich guys, the craft did something radical. It took that high-end uniform and handed it to everyone. It turned the aristocrat's suit into the working man's armor. It ensured that when we meet on the level, all those visual cues of social class, like the expensive watch, the designer label, and the trendy haircut, all of those are buried under the uniformity of the dark suit. We borrowed the best from the upper class so that every brother could stand as an equal. Now let's talk man to man for a second. The suit is the most masculine garment ever devised. It's built to enhance the male silhouette, broadening the shoulders, narrowing the waist, and projecting a sense of structured authority. But in the lodge, the suit isn't about looking like a model. It's about killing your ego. Think about the world outside the lodge doors. It's a loud, chaotic mess of look at me, pay attention to me. We signal our status through the brand of our sneakers, the logo on our polo, or how much we spent on a pair of distressed jeans. It's a constant, exhausting competition of fashion. It's a distraction. When you walk into a Masonic lodge in Ontario, all that noise stops. By mandating a dark suit and a white shirt, Masonry effectively hits the mute button on your social status. When 50 men wear the same uniform, you stop looking at the clothes and start looking at the man. You can't tell if the guy sitting next to you is a CEO or a clerk. You just see a brother. That uniformity removes the chaotic distraction of fashion and forces you to focus on the work at hand. It's a psychological anchor. When you put on that business dress, the dark suit, the white shirt, and the dark tie, you're making a mental contract. You're telling yourself, I am here for something bigger than my own image. It's about intentionality. We live in a world that is sliding toward the lowest common denominator. Pajamas in grocery stores and flip-flops at weddings. Masonry stands as a bulwark against that drift. We dress up because the space is special. We wear the uniform because the brotherhood is worth the effort. It's a way of saying that the internal qualities of a man are so paramount that we've decided to make our external appearances identical. Like members of a symphony or players on a sports team, we wear the uniform to show we are part of a unified whole. It turns a group of individuals into a singular, focused body of men. So next time you're grumbling about having to iron that white shirt, remember, you aren't just getting dressed. You're putting on the armor of equality. You're stepping out of the chaos of the world and into a space where only your character matters. Once you've got the suit on, the final layer is the regalia itself, the colors that map your journey. In Ontario, it's a sea of sky blue. That specific shade of blue isn't just a design choice. It reflects the canopy of the heavens. For the Master Mason, that sky blue ribbon on the apron is a signal of his progress and his responsibilities. But sometimes you'll see something different. You'll see a man wearing a plain white collar with no jewel attached. In our jurisdiction, that's the William Mercer Wilson Medal. It's the highest honor we give, and it goes to the brother who served in the trenches for decades without ever asking for a title or attaining the rank of Lodge Master. That stark white collar around his neck perfectly reflects the quiet, unassuming nature of a man who lives the craft rather than just wearing it. Ultimately, Masonic attire isn't about the gold lace or the silk ribbon. It's about the man underneath. We dress with precision because we work with precision. We wear the uniform to remind ourselves that when we step into that lodge, we aren't individuals chasing status. We are a unified body building something eternal. It's time to stop worrying about the fashion and start worrying about the foundation. Wear the suit, honor the apron, and do the work. This is a Brotherly Love podcast. Let's get to work.